I wake up early on a quiet morning, and the light from the window feels soft and kind. Outside, the street is calm, and the air seems fresh, like it is inviting me to go somewhere new. Traveling has always been a gentle dream in my mind. It is not only about moving from one place to another. It is also about feelings, memories, and the slow joy of discovery. When I think about travel, I remember places I have visited, and I imagine places I still hope to see one day. These thoughts flow together like a long road with no sharp turns, only smooth steps forward. One of the first trips I remember clearly was a journey to the sea. The town was not very big, but it felt open and bright. When I arrived, I could hear the sound of waves even before I saw the water. The sea was wide and blue, and the sky above it looked endless. I walked slowly along the beach, feeling the sand under my feet. It was warm, but not too hot. People around me were relaxed. Some were walking, others were sitting quietly, looking far away. I felt calm, as if time had decided to move more slowly just for that place. In the morning, the air near the sea felt clean and cool. I liked to wake up early and watch the sunrise. The sun appeared gently, coloring the sky with soft orange and pink shades. The water reflected the light, and everything looked peaceful. I often stood there without speaking, just breathing and listening. It was a simple moment, but it stayed with me for a long time. Even now, when I think about it, I can feel that calm again. Food is always part of travel, and that seaside town had simple but tasty meals. Fresh fish, warm soup, and light rice dishes were common. I enjoyed eating slowly, sitting near a window, watching people pass by. The flavors were not strong, but they were honest and comforting. Each meal felt like part of the place itself, as if the town was sharing a small piece of its life with me. Another trip took me to the mountains. The journey there was longer, and the road curved through green hills and small villages. As the bus moved higher, the air became cooler. Trees were everywhere, and the sound of the city slowly disappeared. When I arrived, I felt a deep quiet around me. The mountains stood tall and still, and clouds moved lazily across the sky. It felt like a different world, far from noise and hurry. In the mountains, days began with mist. Sometimes it covered the paths and houses, making everything look soft and unclear. Walking through the mist felt like walking inside a dream. I could hear birds, but I could not always see them. The smell of trees and earth filled the air. I walked slowly, enjoying each step, not thinking about time or plans. It was enough just to be there. People in the mountain area were kind and calm. They spoke gently and smiled easily. Life there seemed simple. In the evenings, I sat near a small fire, listening to stories and watching the flames move. The night sky was dark and full of stars. I had never seen so many stars before. They looked close, as if I could reach out and touch them. That feeling of closeness stayed with me, reminding me how big the world is and how small we are inside it. Sometimes I think about cities I have visited as well. Cities have a different kind of energy. Streets are busy, lights are bright, and people move quickly. One city I remember well had old buildings next to new ones. History and modern life lived side by side. I liked walking through small streets, where cafes and shops were hidden. Each corner felt like a small surprise. In that city, I spent a lot of time just walking without a clear direction. I watched people sitting in cafes, talking and laughing. I listened to street music and felt the rhythm of the place. At night, the city lights reflected on the river, creating long lines of color on the water. I stood on a bridge, looking down, feeling both alone and connected at the same time. Travel is not always about where you go. It is also about how you feel while you are there. Sometimes, even a short trip can leave a strong impression. I remember visiting a small town for only one day. It was quiet and simple, with narrow streets and old houses. There was nothing special to see, but the feeling of peace was strong. I sat on a bench in a small park, listening to leaves move in the wind. That short moment felt complete. There are also places I have not visited yet, but they live clearly in my imagination. I often think about going to another country, far away, where the language sounds different and the culture feels new. I imagine walking through markets full of colors and sounds. I imagine tasting food I have never tried before. There are moments in travel that feel very simple but very strong. Sitting on a train, looking out the window as the land passes by. Waiting at a station, watching people arrive and leave. Drinking a warm drink on a cold morning in a place far from home. These moments do not need words. They speak quietly, but clearly. I also think about traveling with someone close. Sharing a journey makes memories grow deeper. You remember not only the place, but also the smiles, the conversations, and the silence you share. Walking together without speaking can feel just as meaningful as talking. Travel creates space for these connections to grow naturally. Even when a trip ends, it does not really finish. The place stays inside you. Later, when life feels busy or heavy, you can return to those memories. You can remember the calm sea, the cool mountain air, the quiet street at night. These memories become a kind of rest, a place you can visit in your mind. Travel does not always need to be far or expensive. Sometimes, going to a nearby town or a different part of your own city can feel fresh. Seeing familiar places with new eyes is also a kind of journey. It reminds us that wonder can be close, not only far away. As time passes, my idea of travel becomes softer. I do not rush to see everything. I prefer to stay longer in one place, to feel its rhythm. I like slow mornings, long walks, and quiet evenings. I like to let the place speak to me in its own way, without hurry. When I think about future trips, I do not make strict plans. I only hold a gentle wish to keep moving, to keep learning, and to keep feeling curious. Wherever I go, I hope to walk slowly, listen carefully, and stay open to small moments. Travel, for me, is a long, calm story. It continues with every step, every breath, and every quiet smile along the way. If you want me to continue, just say, continue, and I'll keep the same style and flow until we reach the full length you want. As I move forward in my thoughts, the idea of traveling keeps unfolding like a long path with no clear end. Each memory gently leads to another image, another feeling. I remember a train ride taken in the late afternoon. The sun was low, and its light entered through the window in long, soft lines. Fields passed by slowly, changing colors as the light shifted. I sat quietly, watching trees, houses, and open land appear and disappear. The steady sound of the train felt calming, almost like a slow song repeating again and again. During that journey, I noticed how people around me looked tired but peaceful. Some were sleeping, some were reading, and others were simply looking outside, lost in their own thoughts. No one was in a hurry. That shared quiet made the space feel gentle and safe. I realized that traveling often gives us permission to pause, to let go of daily worries, even if only for a short time. Another memory comes from a small island I once visited. The boat ride there was slow, and the sea was calm. As we moved farther from the land, the noise of the city faded away. When I arrived, everything felt lighter. The air was warm, and the pace of life seemed unhurried. People greeted each other with easy smiles. Days there felt longer, not because time moved slowly, but because each moment felt full. On the island, I spent hours walking along narrow paths surrounded by trees and flowers. Sometimes I stopped to sit on a rock, listening to insects and distant waves. There was no need to check the time. I ate when I felt hungry and rested when I felt tired. At night, the sound of the sea followed me into sleep, steady and reassuring. Travel also brings moments of surprise. Once, while visiting a town I had never heard much about, I found a small library near a quiet square. Inside, the light was soft, and the shelves were old. I spent a long time there, reading slowly and enjoying the silence. That unexpected place became one of the strongest memories of the trip. It reminded me that beauty often appears when we are not looking for it. Sometimes, traveling means facing small challenges. Getting lost in an unfamiliar street, misunderstanding directions, or feeling unsure about what to do. In the end, traveling is not about collecting places. It is about collecting moments, feelings, and quiet lessons. It is about learning to move slowly, to stay open, and to appreciate simple beauty. The journey continues, both in the world and inside the mind, flowing gently forward without a clear finish. As the story of traveling keeps moving forward, more memories and gentle wishes appear, one after another, like calm waves reaching the shore. I remember a long walk taken in a city early in the morning, before most people were awake. The streets were quiet, and shops were still closed. The air felt cool, and the light was soft. I walked slowly, listening to my steps echo lightly on the ground. That quiet hour felt special, as if the city was showing its true self before the noise of the day began. In that moment, I felt connected to the place in a simple way. There was no rush, no plan, only movement and awareness. Traveling often gives these moments, where nothing important happens, yet everything feels meaningful. These moments do not need photos or words. They stay quietly in the heart. I also remember traveling by bus through small towns. The bus stopped often, letting people on and off. Each stop showed a small part of local life. Children walking home, older people sitting near the road, small shops selling everyday items. I watched through the window, feeling like a guest passing through many short stories. Even without speaking, I felt close to these places for a brief time. Sometimes, traveling means waiting. Waiting at stations, waiting for weather to change, waiting for the right moment to move on. These pauses are part of the journey. While waiting, I often look around and notice details I would miss if I were busy. A sign on a wall, a quiet smile, a sound in the distance. Waiting teaches patience and attention. I think about evenings spent in unfamiliar rooms. A simple bed, a small table, and a window looking out onto a street I do not know well yet. At night, sounds from outside drift in slowly. Voices, steps, maybe a passing vehicle. I lie there, listening, feeling both far from home and strangely comfortable. That feeling is unique to travel, a mix of uncertainty and calm. Food continues to play a gentle role in these journeys. Not fancy meals, but everyday dishes eaten slowly. A warm bowl of soup on a cool day. Fresh bread in the morning. A sweet drink shared in the afternoon. These tastes connect me to the place more deeply than famous sights. They are part of daily life, and sharing them makes me feel closer to the people around me. There are moments when language becomes less important. A smile, a gesture, or a simple word can be enough. I remember asking for directions once, using only a few words and hand movements. The person smiled and helped me kindly. Even without clear communication, understanding was possible. Travel shows how much we can share without speaking much. I also enjoy moments of being alone while traveling. Sitting by myself in a quiet space, watching life move around me. Alone does not feel lonely in these moments. It feels peaceful and free. Being alone allows thoughts to settle and feelings to rise naturally. It creates space to reflect and breathe. As days pass during a trip, a gentle routine often forms. Waking up at a similar time, walking familiar paths, greeting familiar faces. Even in a new place, life finds a rhythm. That rhythm brings comfort and balance. It reminds me that home is not only a location, but also a feeling that can appear anywhere. I think about the sound of rain in different places. Rain falling on the roof of a small house. Rain tapping on a train window. Rain washing quiet streets at night. These sounds feel familiar everywhere, yet slightly different in each place. They connect distant locations through a shared experience. Travel also teaches appreciation. Seeing how people live with less, or with different priorities, helps me value what I have. It opens the mind gently, without force. It invites understanding instead of judgment. Each place has its own way of being, and each way holds its own wisdom. There are moments when leaving a place feels difficult. On the last day, I walk more slowly, trying to remember small details. The color of a wall, the sound of a street, the feeling of the air. Saying goodbye does not always involve words. Sometimes it is just a quiet look, a deep breath, and a final walk. After returning home, memories appear at unexpected times. While walking, eating, or resting, a scene from a trip suddenly comes back. These memories feel warm and gentle. They remind me that the world is wide and full of quiet beauty. Travel continues to live inside me, even when I am not moving. It shapes my thoughts, my pace, and my way of seeing. It teaches me to slow down, to notice, and to stay curious. The journey does not rush forward. It flows. I remember a road taken late in the day, when the sky was changing colors. Blue slowly turned into orange and then into deep gray. The road was quiet, and the world seemed to slow down with the light. That moment felt peaceful and complete, even though it was only a short part of the journey. There are moments when travel feels deeply personal. Thoughts rise naturally, without effort. Feelings become clear. Being in a new place often helps the mind see things differently. Problems feel smaller, and hopes feel closer. Travel does not solve everything, but it offers space to reflect gently. I enjoy the feeling of waking up somewhere unfamiliar. For a brief moment, I do not remember where I am. Then the memory returns slowly, and a quiet excitement appears. That moment between sleep and waking feels special. It reminds me that life can still feel new. Travel also teaches acceptance. Weather changes, plans shift, and things do not always go as expected. Learning to accept these changes makes the journey smoother. It creates a calm attitude that stays even after returning home. As my thoughts continue to move forward, travel feels less like a series of trips and more like a way of living. A way of moving through the world with attention and openness. Whether near or far, each place adds something gentle to the story. The journey does not rush toward an end. It flows steadily, carrying moments of silence, small joys, and quiet understanding. With each step, each memory, and each imagined road ahead, the story of travel continues, calm and unbroken, stretching forward with patience and ease. The sense of traveling keeps unfolding quietly, like a long breath that never feels forced. More memories rise, not sharply, but gently, as if they are waiting their turn to be felt. I remember a morning when I woke up in a place surrounded by hills. The window was open, and cool air moved softly into the room. I could hear distant sounds of life starting, light steps, a quiet voice, maybe a door opening somewhere nearby. I stayed in bed for a while, listening, feeling calm and safe in that unfamiliar space. That feeling of safety in a new place is something travel slowly teaches. At first, everything feels uncertain. The streets are unknown, the sounds are different, and the rhythm of life is not yet clear. But day by day, that uncertainty fades. Familiar paths appear. Recognizable faces return. Slowly, the place begins to feel less distant and more welcoming. I think about afternoons spent walking without purpose. No map in my hand, no clear goal in my mind. Just following streets that feel interesting. Sometimes I turn left, sometimes right, guided only by curiosity. These walks often lead to unexpected views. A quiet corner, a small garden, a street filled with light. These discoveries feel personal, like the place is sharing a secret. Travel also creates moments of deep quiet inside. Sitting alone, watching the world move, thoughts slow down. There is no need to plan or decide anything important. That mental rest feels rare and valuable. It allows emotions to settle and clarity to appear naturally. I remember standing near a river one evening. The water moved steadily, reflecting the soft colors of the sky. People passed by, some walking fast, others slow. I stayed still, watching the movement around me. In that moment, I felt both part of the scene. The gentle rhythm of travel keeps going, like footsteps that never feel tired. New scenes appear softly, without pushing, as if they rise from memory and imagination together. I think about a slow morning walk through a neighborhood that was just waking up. Windows were opening, light sounds came from inside homes, and the smell of food drifted lightly through the air. I walked at an easy pace, feeling like a quiet part of the morning, not separate from it. Travel often brings a sense of balance. There is movement, but also rest. There is curiosity, but also acceptance. I remember sitting near a small open space where people gathered naturally. Some talked, some sat quietly, and some simply passed through. I stayed there for a while, watching how life moved gently around me. That kind of observation feels calming, like listening to a soft story without words. I think about the feeling of carrying very little while traveling. A small bag, a few items, and enough space to move freely. Having less makes the body feel lighter and the mind clearer. Each step feels easier. Each decision feels simpler. That lightness stays in the memory long after the trip ends. Sometimes, travel brings a quiet sense of courage. Being in a new place means making small choices alone. Choosing where to walk, where to sit, where to eat. These choices are simple, but they build confidence slowly. They remind me that I can trust myself, even in unfamiliar surroundings. I remember an afternoon when the weather changed suddenly. Clouds gathered, and rain began to fall softly. Instead of rushing away, I stayed where I was. The rain changed the sound of the place. Streets became shiny, and people moved more slowly. That unexpected change felt refreshing. It reminded me that not every moment needs control. Travel also teaches patience with time. Some journeys take longer than expected. Some days move slowly. Learning to accept this pace makes everything feel easier. Instead of waiting for the next moment, I learn to stay with the current one. I think about places where nature and daily life meet closely. Towns where trees grow near houses, where water flows beside paths, where the sky feels close. In these places, life feels steady and grounded. Walking there feels natural, like returning to something familiar, even if I have never been there before. Even in busy places, travel creates small pockets of calm. A quiet corner, a pause at a crossing, a moment of stillness in movement. These small breaks help the mind rest. They show that calm can exist anywhere, not only in silent places. I remember a long evening spent watching the sky change slowly. Colors faded one by one, and lights appeared gently. The day did not end suddenly. It softened into night. That slow change felt comforting. It reminded me that endings do not have to be sharp. They can be gentle transitions. Travel also changes how I see distance. A place that once felt far becomes closer through memory. A journey that seemed long feels short when remembered calmly. Distance becomes less about space and more about experience. Sometimes, travel feels like listening. Listening to places, to people, to myself. Without pressure to respond or act. Just listening. That quiet attention feels healing. It brings understanding without effort. I think about the feeling of standing still while the world moves. Cars pass, people walk by, sounds rise and fall. Standing still in that movement creates a strange and peaceful contrast. It makes time feel wider. As the journey continues, the idea of travel becomes simpler. It is not about checking places off a list. It is about being present where I am. Whether the place is new or familiar, the experience depends on attention and openness. I enjoy imagining future trips without detail. Just the feeling of movement, the sense of change, the quiet excitement of stepping into something unknown. That imagination feels light and comforting, not demanding. Travel weaves itself into everyday life. Even when staying in one place, the the mindset remains. Walking slower, noticing more, listening deeper. The journey continues inside, shaping thoughts and feelings gently. The story flows on without pause. Step after step, memory after memory, feeling after feeling. Travel remains a calm presence, steady and patient, moving forward without noise, without rush, carrying quiet moments, soft awareness, and an open heart along an endless, peaceful road. The movement of travel slowly reaches a quiet place, not an ending that feels sudden, but a soft slowing, like evening light fading from the sky. The thoughts become calmer, more settled, as if the road is resting for a while. I think about how all these journeys, real and imagined, short and long, have shaped a gentle understanding of the world. Each place has left a small mark, not loud or heavy, but light and warm. I remember a final image of sitting still at the end of a day of walking. The body feels pleasantly tired, and the mind feels clear. There is no need to think about tomorrow yet. The air feels calm, and the surroundings feel familiar, even if the place is far from home. That feeling of quiet satisfaction is something travel gives slowly, without asking for anything in return. Travel teaches that happiness does not always come from big moments. It often lives in simple scenes. A quiet street, a soft sound, a shared smile, a peaceful pause. These moments may seem small, but together they create a deep sense of fullness. They remind me that life does not need to rush to be meaningful. As the memories settle, I notice how travel has changed my pace. Even when I stop moving, the calm rhythm stays with me. I walk a little slower. I listen a little more. I notice light, sound, and space with greater care. The journey continues inside, shaping daily life gently. I think about how every place, whether visited once or many times, becomes part of a larger story. The story is not written with dates or maps, but with feelings and quiet moments. It flows naturally, without force, like breathing in and out. In the end, travel feels less like going somewhere and more like learning how to be. Being present. Being open. Being patient. Wherever I am, that feeling can return. The road may pause, but the sense of movement remains. The story of travel does not close with a final step. It rests for a moment, calm and complete, ready to continue whenever the next gentle journey begins.